Honorable Otto So did not enter roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not enter roll call. Honorable Daniel. Honorable Daniel So.
I'm here.
Honorable Daniel So is present in the chambers. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not enter roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not enter roll call. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika did not enter roll call. Honorable Evan Yard.
Yeah.
Honorable Evan Yard answered roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not answer roll call. Going back up. Honorable Alma Begay. Honorable Alma Begay. Honorable Alma Begay did not answer roll call. Honorable Keon Jr.
Dr. Keelan's present. Thank you.
Honorable Keon Begay Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer roll call. Honorable Amber Knusbach Crotty. Honorable Amber Knusbach Crotty. Honorable Amber Knusbach Crotty did not answer roll call. Honorable Tanal Halona. Honorable Tanal Halona. Honorable Tanal Halona did not answer roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Halona's present.
Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater did not answer roll call. Honorable Tanal Halona answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Present.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So.
I'm here.
Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So.
Not the
Honorable Charlene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not enter roll call. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika did not enter roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not enter roll call. That, Mr. Speaker, you have 2 members that entered roll call. Mr. Speaker.
Delegate Mcgee, call it in. Present. I'm present. Jimmy Yellowhair.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair answered roll call.
Thank you.
Honorable Elmer
Delegate
answered
Mcgee,
roll
Elmer.
call. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have 17 members that entered roll call. Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, this is Delegate Mcgee. Elmer
Thank
Mcgee
you.
calling in.
Honorable Elmer Brigade, we got you down on roll call. With that, coming out of recess, we have 17 members present. We have a quorum, colleagues. With that, let me just go back. We are on legislation 0182-21.
Speaker, for the record, this is Delegate Crotty. Thank you.
Recognize, Madam Chair. Member Crotty.
Speaker, I just wanted to recognize that I'm here for the record. I missed the second roll call. Apologize about that.
Oh, okay. All right. We got you now. That, colleagues, We are on legislation 0182-21, sponsored by Chairman Henio, co-sponsored by Madam Chair Amber Crotty, co-sponsored by Honorable Alona. We do have a main motion by Honorable Mcgee, second by Chairman Edmund Yazzie. We are currently on, we did approve amendments 1 and 2. We are on amendment number 3 at this time. Let me just go down on amendment 3. I do have Honorable Keon Begay with 2 seconds. Chairman Daniel So with 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Honorable Vince James with 4 minutes and 1 second. Chairman Nez with 2 minutes and 38 seconds. At this time, I have Honorable Slater, Honorable Vice Chair Smith, and Chairman Crotty, Honorable Eugene So, Chairman Yazzie, Honorable Yellowhair, and Honorable Daniels with no time. So with that, going back to the floor, we don't have anybody in the queue or anybody that's texting at this time. So let me go ahead and go back. If there's no further comments, I do have reserved time, colleagues, on amendment number 3. With that, Honorable Keelan Begay, you have 2 seconds.
Hi, bye. Speaker, colleagues, if you have time, if you're not going to use it, please forward to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Keelan Begay. There was a request, colleagues, for time. With that, Chairman Daniel So, 3 minutes and 42 seconds on reserve time.
Thank you, Speaker Damon. I'll reserve my time.
Every time at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Moving on down, Honorable Vince James. Honorable James, just to answer your question, I do believe that earlier you did ask us to reach out and get those documents. Those are sent out at 2:14 or 2:09. It was 2:09. But you do have 4 minutes and 1 second on reserve time, Honorable James.
Thank you, another speaker, a member of the council, Dosha Kahasi, and then also thank you very much for forwarding those closeout purchase of the House document in Washington, D.C. Colleagues, I know my fellow colleagues have brought up issues that we are taking money from one program to another program. And so with that, in reality, how much money did we take from our Navajo people to house a few personnel in the Washington home? How much money funds have we already spent on this facility already? Not 1 million, not 2 million, nor 3 million, or even 4 million. $5 million is how much we have spent on this facility. So when you say that we are taking money from a program to another program, I think we need to look back and check ourselves and say, how much money have we taken from the Navajo people already to move forward to facilitate this home here? There are many of our Navajo people that would like to also remodel their restrooms and renovate their homestead and decorate their homes and so forth. And we're not doing that for our Navajo people. We're not providing that for our Navajo people as well. So I would really take a look back of the comments that we are saying when we take money from one program to another program. In reality, it's just renovation funds that we are talking about. It's no service that will be interrupted. Yes, I understand that we say that we can utilize the UUSB. We could do that, but how long do you think that's going to take? My colleagues, you know the process. You know how long it takes for a legislation to go through the process. We still need to drop legislation, and we still need to go through the committees. And then we have to work with the program, OMB, OOC, DPM. Advertisement of the position will need to be made, interviews, background check. By that time, we're looking at almost an hour. We're almost looking at one year, maybe even 2 years of establishing this position. And how many crimes are going to be created within that time frame again? if you look at it from that point of view, it's something that we need to tell ourselves, are we going to assist right away, or are we going to assist by eliminating the time frame of how long it takes to get somebody into these positions? Again, it's always an ongoing issue with BPM, human resource. I don't think it will ever be resolved the way our government is set up and our system is set up. And so with that, colleagues, I kindly request that you support this the amendment here and eliminate. The way we'll be moving forward is we'll be eliminating time on the legislation process if we make this amendment go through. And if this amendment goes through right now, how many of our Navajo families and children are we going to help out there by not getting hurt? And how many crimes will we eliminate if we were just to make this amendment? So with that, colleagues, I encourage you to vote green for this amendment. Again, it's this renovation project funding that we're talking about. It's not service funding that we are talking about. With that, I reserve the rest of my time. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. With that, Honorable James, you have 18 seconds in the reserve time. Moving on down. We go back to on to Chairman Rick Nez, 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker Damon, honorable members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. It is our job, it is our duty to debate, to vote red or to vote green. That's what we do. We create laws. We come across situations where we may feel very uneasy about certain things, but at the end, sometimes they work out. And I strongly believe that we do support prosecutor's office. And I don't really see anything wrong with it. If we just use that, I'm sure the president's office supports that as well. And we could move forward with the UUFB to fund this position for an administrator. And sometimes it goes our way, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't mean that we're heartless when we vote red. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we're doing our job to the best of our ability. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Ness. That, moving on down, I do have Honorable Paul Mcgee request to speak. Honorable Paul Mcgee, the floor is yours at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Honorable delegates, 24th Navajo Nation Council, and those who are on the line. Thank you. Appreciate the discussion.
Sometimes I wish that was the case. That we would be in consensus to vote, but each one of us have our own thoughts, our own votes. No social media that be yoda to bakat the copy hord yeni hotel called yeni deep sergeants niga a quite doshkat etasa or get it nahul chin nahan or hot ego jinas ingo a co eda quite gita basi yat is done that on sansa a co the Diego is case Washington the kin has been hatna. I can't be lancey clean though. Ado not a happy high Nicabani ash. Bunny Kragi quaggy deo you do shaklat it. Ashing and Nick hope so how long or the AB to have done clean. Hot ego it does kitchen nista. She don't have abances case so. Open thought about this. I don't never keep by now to net on this. Of course, she had all quite the old answers case it out. They have seat on this door. Such a time you see, gave to about the dish ask Kiel and the gate. Thank you.
Honorable Kim Mcgee, 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Floor is yours.
Shay, can you hear me right?
Yes.
Okay. Since honestly, nigi kudo ado Shay had on this craggy times chawin lagi. Totally. I been making calls to the chief prosecutors, Department of Justice to get clarification on a lot of these issues that we're talking about. Since honestly, nigi Law and Order Committee AU 0821. At business number 104005, there's an unmet need in the amount of $463,691. Ako peso po to hit out sa hit hoto need la. Ako within that unmet need, there's 3 prosecutors position and 1 administrative position. Ako I guess when it came to budget and finance, Kodo Ajim Scrotty made an amendment that only $268,622,000 linked with a balance of $195,000. I think it's $69. If that my math is correct. Deep or hockey 3 prosecutors position. Why only the administration? So again, my request to the motioning parties, Adan, Ms. Newton. Could we take a step back and maybe whenever the revised budget is given to us that we approve getting funding out of the UUFB in the full amount of the unmet need from the prosecutor's office? I think that would resolve everything. So we still have 3 prosecutors positions that will still be in need of funding as an unmet need. This should allow for us to settle the issue that budget in the full amount that's the unmet need when it's available, go budget that I think would create 3 more the prosecutor's position and the 1 administrative position and additional operation maintenance or operation costs. The question be the vehicles that ko a digi aja joba ilian jondo lessons kodomis Ms. Noon, Charles Noon. That's my another attempt to request that Rather than piecemealing this, could we take a step back, develop a full needed unmet need budget for the prosecutor's office, and then that we get this funding? Speaker,
thank you.
Question of privilege, Delegate Crotty.
Yes, question of privilege, Madam Chair Crotty.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. If I could get the numbers or documents referred by Delegate Mcgee regarding his conversations during the recess. There is, I believe it's Exhibit G, the Budget and Finance Committee working together. We provided funding, additional funding for prosecutors. So I need to make sure that as if this is an additional request from, I'm not sure if it was the Attorney General or what information Delegate Mcgee is referring to. I need to make sure we have all of our documents in order. Thank you.
Madam Chair Crotty, it was sent out to all the members of council at 3:26 from the Attorney General's office. Did you receive it?
Yes, Speaker, I received that document, but I'm asking Exhibit G at Budget and Finance, we were able to pull together funding and cover some of these unmet needs. Is what Delegate Mcgee proposing as a comprehensive approach? It's my understanding that this, for the most part, this unmet need has been partially funded, and this could be the remaining amount that's needed. I need clarification. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. With that, let me go back to the Attorney General then.
Speaker, this is Doreen. Do you want me to address the question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Delegate Crotty, for the question. In the documents that I sent out that Speaker referenced, it includes the original unmet needs budget for the prosecutor, which was, as originally presented, $463,691. And during the budget hearing process, Budget and Finance Committee allocated $268,622 from the personnel lapse funding to the Office of the Prosecutor, and that leaves that balance that Delegate Mcgee mentioned in the amount of $195,069. So it does include the amounts from the Budget and Finance Committee's consideration at Exhibit D. And I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Madam Chair Abercrombie, did that clarify?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I do see Attorney General's email, so it was all collapsed on. So I appreciate that. So I see the breakdown. I'd like to ask Madam Attorney General, could you let the council know why there is unmet need for the Office of the Prosecutor? Because what this leaves us is the council trying to find money, and that's what this amendment is trying to do, is to find that funding. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, let me go back to the Madam AG, and then I'm going to go back to, let me go to Madam AG first for further clarity.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you again, Delegate Crotty, for the opportunity to advocate for our prosecutor's office, and I appreciate your assistance in this regard as well. Not just today, but for as long as I've been here, you've always been an advocate for this program, so thank you. The unmet needs from our prosecutor's office is related in part to something that you mentioned earlier today about the IDC, indirect cost dollars that come to the Department of Justice. And the funding that we receive from IDC, we aren't allowed to use under the federal regulations for prosecutorial costs. And so that funding that comes to DOJ is primarily allocated to our Office of the Attorney General. We also can't use that funding for the Navajo Legal Services Program as well under the regulations. So that presents a challenge when, for example, last year during the budget process, we received an increase in IDC dollars for Department of Justice and a corresponding decrease in the same amount for general fund dollars. And while that helps our Office of the Attorney General programs, it does not help our prosecutor's office when there's a decrease in general funds because that's the only funding that we can use for Office of the Prosecutor. And so that was a problem that happened a couple of years ago that was not resolved in this current budget year. So what we did for our Office of the Prosecutor in terms of budgeting is for any vacancies that the office had, we had to budget at 50%. And so that's a large portion of the unmet needs. And so what that means for our acting chief prosecutor is that he either has to fill the positions and then lay people off after 6 months, or he has to wait until 6 months into the year to be able to fill those positions. So that's part of the request for unmet needs is to be able to fully fund those positions. There's also an additional prosecutor position in the unmet needs budget that's to be assigned to Chinle or Crown Point. Also within the unmet needs budget is what is in the amendment number 3 today to include office rental space for the Shiprock office. Currently the staff there has outgrown the capacity for the space that they're currently in. Part of that is due to the current pandemic and the need to be working in spaces where you're not within a certain distance of your coworker and the like, but also that office has been able to fill positions that we otherwise hadn't been able to fill previously, grant-funded positions for victim witness advocates. So the growth there is a positive improvement for the office and for the Shiprock and surrounding communities, but it requires us to be in a bigger office space to accommodate the needs of the people and the individuals in the office. And then the unmet needs budget also includes amounts for the use of GSA vehicles, the tribal vehicles that the prosecutor's office had to turn in the prior year due to not enough funding to be able to pay the insurance premiums and such on those vehicles. And then there's some operating costs and supplies that are included in the budget there as well. I hope that answers your question, Delegate Crotty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, colleagues, let me go to Honorable Otto So at this time, and then if there's anything the sponsor of the amendment wants to refer back to, then I'll come back to you, Madam Chair. Charles, Honorable Otto So. Oh.
Do ade isunok iki ade tahus ade kodoi ya dide amendment number 3 bahan ko baniyati so ko Madam Chair shin so bes onion niya so be ya koni datoni niskins ako baban nasban sa kis ko ya alate ego na ya atod nisto ada ay ego ti this position that's being talked about to create this special position is something that is really needed within our prosecution's office. Ako apis adon adit ani ashi ani lead so lead peso ha ni so so yego pa ya pa so nin sin adi so from Washington office ako benal ko ni kinan adan liniki call our directors and our division directors and every managerial position in the nation. That eggs that yego ban so that's a case or le could end up but let's have the hell just show in that needs in hatney. The other pesos are the hatahizo bandika. I'm going to support this amendment here. And in Nigate, she need not ne. I want ego go kadi ka dahis ago. I don't da con whether they're my constituents or not, they still come and ask questions pertaining to issues like this. And so that ego pa hinnet na what ego ko she ko beti iho. Ego she what elbe bin saki stoppen Jane Lin she it's on it that's ko halit ego la ya hot ego tita ay si be desnini be ta inni shiki hot ape ya la a ta panana nilo aha akon den le ego ko ta initiate ko hot an ha ban si that's a case to le he ako le budget hearings be tano be pa hanna o da ego be ko di ko de bilat ha ta hi shi jo nda oyo ante so yal hata hi ni ban ne kai ako o hot apa ba hot anash o shi ne shi ben ne do ben ne shi I see yego pasi ti do pasi z ako hot si yego hot adna ik kai ga halit eben halit labje has shi ades shi ado josh ye nach shi ya pensar stoppen yes hada endo lesti dat egi jo ni hit ne papa za kiso onsen ko asi pa hinni ego ho ko asi benal enego asi ego we need to get our program managers to really look at what are the very important positions that is needed to be funded within our tribal position, not to just a ramrod a budget hearing through. But not on our managers and our division directors and our top-notch employees of the nation. Yapa adala papa ban sida the case or listen it's abit that alcohol benash in a go ya oh an has did or listen and alcohol with that I'm going to reserve the rest of my time. Yeah,
Reserve your time at 33 seconds on bottle so oof. Oh, with that, colleagues, we are on amendment number 3, and I don't have anyone in the queue at this time. But let me go back to the sponsor, Madam Chair, Charles Lewin. The floor is yours at this time.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for this healthy debate. I do want to say thank you to Delegate Crotty and to also Delegate James, Delegate Daniel So for the support and for taking the time to talk to me and for you too, Speaker. For Delegate Crotty, I did have some support here in the chambers, and it was good. I should also say that I am a little bit upset and frustrated that something like this would push me to come out and share something as intimate as I did. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, and it's still not. But I think that the point that I was trying to make is that as elected officials, we see each and every day what is happening in our community. We know the crimes that are being committed, and we tend to look the other way, and we support projects that really don't bring any healing to our people and don't really provide the services that are needed for our people. And I think that this is a prime example that we are debating giving $636,029 to the Washington office, $200,000 going to renovation. And we're sitting here debating this issue when the argument that's being made is this is going to services that our people need. I did see the email, the shortage of $195,069 to fund the prosecutor's office. I say that we just take the entire $200,000 renovation from Washington office and show our people that these services are needed. And I do have to say that it must be nice to just casually brush off the services that are needed to heal our people, and to say things like it happened a long time ago. For many of the victims here on the Navajo Nation, that hurt and that pain that we carry is with us every day. And for many of us, it feels like it just happened yesterday. And we wonder how our kids continue to act out. We wonder why people are committing crimes. And we would rather see money going to renovation projects than to see our people heal. I do agree that there are other funding sources that are available. ARPA was brought up. UUFB was also brought up. But I need my colleagues to know that this position and all of the positions in the prosecutor's office, as well as social services and providing victims advocates, this is needed on our Navajo Nation. It is needed today. It's going to be needed tomorrow. And I think that this budget, we need to include this in the budget because these are positions that we should be funding every year. It's really unfortunate that social services, that prosecutor's office come forward every year with unmet needs. And we have a president who was advocating for a DC house and renovation when he could truly be advocating for the people and saying that our people need these services. So to me, looking at UUFB, looking at ARPA, that is a short-term relief that we can provide to our people, but it doesn't solve the issue. And so in terms of ARPA money, that position will only be funded for 3 years. With UUFB, we're going to give the funding, but it's not something that, unless we state it, it's not going to be recurring. We need to include this in the budget. And in some sense, I think that it is kind of a lesson learned in that we have a 3-branch agreement that's done without fully listening to the people and sitting down with the division directors to ask them what it is that they're in need of. I started a coin phrase, people before projects, and I stand firm with that. And I think that this is a prime example, and I'm glad that this is being broadcasted on Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo, because our people need help. And arguing about this budget, arguing about moving money from a renovation project to services, to me, I guess I just have a really hard time understanding that. And even though there have been advocacy coming from the male delegates that this, that we shouldn't even be looking at this, I am really glad that this is coming out. And I'm going to say that with the UUSB and the ARPA money, that is money that is available. But I think at this time, my priority, my principle, personally, my morale, or my moral, is to get rid of the renovation money and use it towards services that our people need. Thank you, Speaker.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. With that, colleagues, let me go back to the floor. I don't have anybody else in the queue, no one else lined up, texting in, but we do have colleagues with a reserve time. So let me go ahead and go back to reserve time. On amendment number 3, Chairman Daniel So, 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker. Members of the Navajo Nation Council, legislative staff, and the executive branch staff. We were provided the sale documents, but for myself, I don't know if Dr. Rudy Shabala is authorized to be the signer. I don't know what the dollar amount he's authorized to sign on, but the documents clearly show that President Nez didn't sign on the document as buyer. So in that aspect, I would place a question to Navajo Nation Department of Justice to see if Dr. Rudy Shabala is authorized to spend $4.9 billion. And again, the head of the executive branch did not sign the document. So that is the question I would pose to Navajo Nation Department of Justice and staff within the chambers. Just basically reminded me that today is Women Equality Day. So in that aspect, I'm just like a little flabbergasted. One, that the chief of staff doesn't
say, okay, this money, we can find it within the budget and we can do the transfers to cover the office of the prosecutor. But no such movement. How about a compromise? How about working together? Nothing. And so that's the part that I'm really concerned about, Speaker. So I will wait for a answer from the Department of Justice before I move forward. So I reserve the balance of my time. Thank you.
Thank you. That, Chairman Daniel So, you have 37 seconds of reserve time. Let me go to Department of Justice for a response.
Speaker, this is Kristen Lowell at the Tax and Finance Unit. I am going to need just a few moments to consult with one of my colleagues at the Natural Resources Unit, Speaker.
Okay. Thank you. I'll come back. Slow. That, moving on down. Honorable Vince James on reserve time, 18 seconds.
Reserve my time.
17 seconds on reserve time. Moving on down. Honorable Otto So. 3 seconds. 33 seconds. Sorry. My chicken scratch. Honorable Otto So did indicate that he was going through a bad area driving through, so we come back to him. That, colleagues, any other comments or questions at this time? There are none. I have Chairman Daniel So in the queue waiting for a response from the Department of Justice. With that, we continue on. Oh. Honorable. Okay. Honorable Vince James, 17 seconds.
Reserve my time.
Every time is 16 seconds. Honorable Otto So, 33 seconds. Honorable Otto So, are you on the line? Went twice. Went 3 times on Honorable Otto So. That, colleagues, any other comments or questions at this time? I do have waiting on a response from Department of Justice. Hey, colleagues, just give a rundown real quick again. If you're just joining us, you're with us. We're having a Navajo Nation Council budget session this week. Today's our second day. We are on a legislation that's sponsored by Chairman Hinyo, Madam Chair Amber Crotty, and Honorable Holona. It's legislation 0182-21, and it's approving the Navajo Nation's fiscal year 2022 a comprehensive budget. We did start yesterday, and we do have two amendments that have been approved. The third amendment is actually currently being discussed at this time. And the only three individuals I do have with reserve time at this time is Chairman Daniel So with 37 seconds, Honorable Vince James with 16 seconds, and Honorable Otto So with 33 seconds. We are waiting on a response from the Department of Justice. So the clarity of the question was, does the current division director, Dr. Rudy Shabala, have authorization to sign off on all the closing documents for the purchase of the Washington, D.C. property? Department of Justice, any follow-up?
Speaker, this is Kristen again. I'm trying to get clarification. So I've been in communication with Robert Allen, who is an attorney with the Natural Resources Division, and also with the Navajo Nation DOJ Natural Resources Unit. So what I have been able to determine so far is that Dr. Shabala was authorized to do to sign administrative documents, and so I'm trying to determine under what authority the purchase agreement, which I don't have, by the way. I don't have the purchase agreement, but from the discussion, it seems as if he signed the closing documents as well. So I am still trying to track that down, Speaker.
Okay, thank you. We're sending you those documents, Ms. Lowell. The documents that we have, I don't know if that's the same documents that you have, but we're sending you what we have from Mr. Rico. With that, let me go back on down. Is he back on? Okay, with that, we go back to Honorable Otto So, 33 seconds. Oh.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know. Now, conscience, I could think so. Though not the schedule. I don't see patient had a need, so not the cash. Go idea hot out. Bahati so Bahini hate ego, she even here. They are seen it not in a sheet that I go back without the Bedati. So you're not sky. I'll shape a natural what I need. never no, she had these. It's probably one of those needs, and I truly support this amendment number 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Vince James, I'm coming back to you. Reserve time, 16 seconds. Every time. 15 seconds. Again, colleagues, we are on amendment number 3, waiting pending a response from the Department of Justice. Hey. Ms. Lowell?
Speaker,
How long do you think this is going to take?
All right, this is what I have so far. According to Attorney Robert Allen, Dr. Chabala states that the president authorized him to sign all documents for the purchase of the Washington, D.C. building. Speaker.
And is that legal? I guess that's the question.
Speaker, I do not know whether this was an oral authorization, if it was in writing, if it was in a memo, if it was in an email. This is all that I've been able to secure at this time. So I am still working on collecting that information.
Thank you. Dr. Chabala, are you on the line? Do you have documents to say, or is Chief Paulson Chaco on the line to state that this was verbal, or if there was an actual memo?
Speaker Yate, good afternoon. This is Rudy Arshabala. Yes, I am on the line.
Good afternoon, Dr. Chabala. If you want to respond.
Yes, I'm waiting for our DNR attorney to look up everything that transpired during the acquisition of the Washington, D.C. office. Sir.
You are unmuted. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello?
Hi, this is Robert Allen, the DNR attorney.
Good afternoon, Ms. Allen.
Afternoon. When we had all the final documents executed, the government was shut down at the time. And so were most of the title companies. And since we had to do the closing in Washington, D.C., that particular title company had a service that would do a remote closing. So the agreement was signed, and the way they did the closing, they needed a natural person to sign in front of a camera. So that's what we did with Dr. Chabala. we did consult with the president. He gave us instructions that he wanted the building purchased, and we closed the transaction.
Okay, thank you.
Did it follow law?
Yes,
Okay,
it did.
You. This is what. I mean, let me show you what Mr. Rico or Jalissa from the Office of the Legislative Services found. If you see on CJA-07-21, which authorized the purchase of the Washington, D.C. property, in there under Section 3 approval, it says Section 3D, it says the Navajo Nation directs the Division of Natural Resources Executive Director to initiate and complete the requirements for the purchase of real property on or before February 16, 2021 through the Commercial Real Estate Purchase Agreement negotiated in this matter with real documents as prescribed in the Navajo Nation Land Acquisition Rules and Regulations. So colleagues, it's in the legislation. We'll forward that legislation out to everyone.
May I also
yes,
reassure everyone? May I also reassure?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Reassure everyone that even without that instruction from the council, Dr. Shabala is authorized to sign to authorize and approve purchases for up to $5 million per calendar year pursuant to Section 4 of the Organic Act, which is CAY 4416. And under Section 5 of that legislation, all of the land acquisition regulations are authorized. And under Section 3A of the rules and regulations, the rules and regulations are now part of the Organic Act pursuant to Section 5, and that's where a lot of confusion has arisen from the various constructions of what the Act means. They don't look at the regulations, but the regulations are part of the Organic Act. And under Section 3A, it states the Executive Director of the Division of Natural Resources is authorized to sign all administrative documents, not including the purchase agreement, closing documents, or other transactional documents, which shall be signed by the President unless delegated signatory authority by the President. So he was given instructions by the President to sign all documents, and the council also authorized that in the purchase legislation itself. So there should be no question about the signatures and whether or not the transaction was legal. It did close pursuant to Washington, D.C. law and Navajo Nation.
Hey, thank you, Attorney from Department of Justice, Mr. Allen. That, colleagues, let me go back to the floor now. Everybody else in the queue, I'll go back to reserve time. Chairman Daniel So, 37 seconds.
I waived the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Moving on down, Honorable Vince James, 15 seconds.
Thank you, speakers, members of the council. I just want to, again, extend my support for this amendment. Colleagues, please, if we can all vote green for this amendment. Thank you. Waive the rest of my time.
Thank you. That, colleagues, I don't have anybody else in the queue. No one else on reserve time. Nobody else trying to text in. I don't think there's nobody. That, going twice. Anybody else want to speak on amendment number 3? Going 3 times. Let's go to board on amendment number 3.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Cal Begay Jr.
Cal votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Cal Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Jr. Honorable Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Knussbach Cardi.
Shaded Delegate Amber Knussbach Cardi, and I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Cardi votes green. Honorable Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Mark Phelan. Honorable Mark Phelan.
Green.
Honorable Mark Phelan votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Jamie votes red.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes red. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes red.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes red. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Red.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes red. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Red.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes red. Honorable So. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So did not vote. Honorable Charlene
I vote green. I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not vote. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Thomas Walker Jr. Thomas Walker Jr. vote. Honorable Erica.
Red.
Honorable Edison Winnicott votes red. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Red.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes red. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
How about red?
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes red.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes red. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes red. Via text. Daniels Jr.
I vote red.
Honorable Herman Davis Jr. votes red. Honorable Pernell. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Lord votes red.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes red. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene,
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not vote. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. With that, Mr. Speaker, a vote of 9 in favor, 11 opposed. Mr. Speaker, not voting.
Thank you, colleagues. On amendment number 3, with 9 in favor, 11 opposed, speaker not voting, motion fails.
Speaker.
Question of privilege.
Question of privilege. Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Yes, it looks like there's a delegate who wants to vote. After that, Speaker, my question of privilege is if I could get a copy of the amendment vote. I'd like to provide that to the public. Thank you. And the intent is to allow communities to know how delegates are voting. Thank you.
Question of privilege, Speaker.
Question
Our point of order.
privilege.
Point of
Question
order.
of privilege. Point of order.
Point of order, Speaker.
Let me deal with the chairman. Vice Chair Walker. Question of privilege first.
Yes, Speaker, council members. My call was fading in and out, and I did not my vote drink.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Green. In and out.
Vote's green. That vote changes from 10 in favor, 11 opposed. Speaker not voting. Motion fails. That, Chairman Yazzie, point of order.
Point of order, Speaker. Edmund Yazzie here. Just hearing from my colleagues about getting the vote tallies and showing it to the public. Yes, that is, you're right, but we feel as it is also a threat and a harassment, and that needs to stop, Speaker. Please take control of that. And so that's my point of order, sir.
Thank you, colleagues. Colleagues, when as it is every delegate's right to get this information, this is all public information. But in doing that, it's up to every one of the delegates to provide and know what they're going to do with that information. So if there needs to be further clarification, we can have a sit-down discussion, and that can happen, Chairman Yazzie, not only with the delegates, but also bringing in Department of Justice and the individuals and other individuals' recommendations on that. But this is, as we have been doing this isn't the first time, the same precedents a delegate has asked for those documents, or even the documents that are taking place because it's a live vote that's online. And as again, this is, I can honestly say this is the most transparent Navajo Nation Council there's ever been with these live initiatives.
Also goes under the bulletin and harassment.
Yes, especially if there's anything like that.
Point
Chairman.
of order, Delegate Crotty.
Point of order, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. If Chairman Yazzie has an issue with my request, I'd like to see the definition of harassment that he's referring to. And if it does not cover my request, I would say that's slander. And I'd ask the delegate to cease reimagining what that term means. Thank you.
Thank you. My colleagues, again, this is something that we give in before, and if there's something that is taking place in the past that has created any kind of hostile and working environment, I'm not too, there's never been something that's been written to the Speaker's office on that. Chairman Yazzie, I don't know, there is a question by your colleague on the work harassment.
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order, Madam Chair, Charles Zune.
Thank you, Speaker. I think that you said it right when you said that this is actually public information as well as our attendance, also public information. I myself was accused of assault for a handshake, So I think that in terms of what is being asked, it is public information, Speaker. And I think, I mean, looking at the Navajo Nation Council page, people are asking for the people who voted red. And I think that that is the right of our people to ask that of us delegates. Thank you, Speaker.
Colleagues, the path that this is taking us to a path where I think that we need to re-examine some of the initiatives that we all have as working together. Remember the prayer that we had this morning and trying to identify what we need to do. And that's something to create, whether we have these long debates and what we do and the way that we create these debates and we advocate for not only our people, you always have that opportunity to vote red or green. And in those options, you take that authority amongst yourself to represent the people that voted you in. And in that case, colleagues, that's where it lays itself. There's always recommendations for somebody else to come back. Maybe Mcgee is going to come back with a new recommendation, as indicated earlier, as an amendment to what this is and going forward. Maybe there's a recommendation that Madam Chair Charles Newman is going to come back with a new initiative. But there's always times for development and debate to happen, and clarity and understanding to make sure that we can go ahead and move this whole thing forward together. Colleagues, I really hope to know that we, at the end of the day, can still continue to advocate and work together, because that's what we're trying to do here for the betterment of the Navajo Nation people. And I understand what you're saying and what we're trying to do. And we have to keep that transparency open. And I think that's the reason why we've created this, in order for us to have these records and have this dialogue, and also make sure that we can say that, you know, this is the reason why I voted red or green on this. And I think at the end of the day, it's up to us to know that we can do that collectively together. So we have taken the vote. That information will be disseminated. But again, colleagues, I know that in collectively moving forward on this legislation, what we're trying to do here is a bigger picture, is creating a budget for the Navajo Nation people for FY 2022. And I know that sometimes it's going to be hard, the decisions that we make, but at the end of the day, there's possibilities for new amendments, new recommendations, and a new pathway that could be moved forward. So, but as of right now, the Amendment 3, there's a vote of 10 in favor, 11 opposed. We are moving forward, colleagues.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker, this is Daniel.
Point of order, Honorable Daniels, as we go back to the main motion.
Mr. Speaker, I read the point of order quite honestly. It really concerns right now. The way I voted, it's already on social media. So that's the reason why I raised a point of order, that I see this special session is getting out of hand. So with that said, I'm going to make a motion to recess for today. Mr. Speaker.
Colleagues, I didn't go back to the main motion yet, and there is a motion. I will recognize your motion, Honorable Daniels. There's a motion to recess, and colleagues, we do have, I do believe that there's maybe 4 or 5 more amendments. Mind you, colleagues, the time now is 4:38 p.m. And tomorrow is our last day in order for us to go in compliant with the code in order for us to send this legislation across the street and pass this and get it to the Navajo Nation Office of the President and Vice President. Honorable Daniels, there's a motion to recess at 4:38 p.m. Is there a second?
Second, Stewart.
Second by Honorable Stewart. Colleagues, motion to recess. Let's go to the board.
Honorable Mcgee. Honorable Mcgee.
Question and privilege, Speaker, while we're voting.
Question and privilege, Madam Chair, while we're voting.
Speaker, are we recessing to cool off, or are we recessing because the delegates who voted red don't want people to know that they voted red? I'm a little bit confused with the statement that was made by Shiaj Delegate Daniels. We have a budget to pass and it's 4 o'clock. So I guess I just want to know, what is the reason why we're recessing early?
Madam Chair, the Honorable Daniels has raised a question or a recess motion, and in that recess, just to give it, I couldn't tell you if it read the delegate's mind specifically, but I have recognized that he indicated that, as anybody could indicate, that they want to bring a motion to recess. So that's the reason why I've accepted it. There was no other motion on the table, Madam Chair. So that's the reason why I have accepted his motion to recess at this time until and then coming back tomorrow at 10 a.m. October 10th. I mean, no, September 10th.
Honorable Mcgee. Honorable Mcgee did not vote. Honorable Kale Mcgee.
Kale votes green.
Honorable Kale votes green. Honorable Paul Mcgee Jr.
Green.
Paul Mcgee Jr. votes green. Daniel Brown. Honorable Daniel Brown. Honorable Daniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes red.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes red. Honorable Amber Knaus-Crotty.
Shadow Delegate Amber Knaus-Crotty and vote red. Yes.
Honorable Amber Knaus-Crotty votes red. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
I vote green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Phelan.
Green.
Honorable Mark Phelan votes green. Honorable Pernell.
Honorable votes green.
Honorable Pernell votes green. Honorable James.
Kenya votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henry votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes red.
Honorable Vince James votes red. Honorable Richard Smith.
Delegate Rick Nez votes red.
Honorable Rick Nez votes red. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, red.
Honorable Carl Slater votes red. Honorable Raymond Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Otto So.
Vote red.
Honorable Otto So votes red. Honorable So. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote red.
Honorable Charlene So votes red. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote red.
Honorable Daniel So votes red. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So.
Dot is the
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Green.
Honorable Edison votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. That, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 12 in favor and 9 opposed. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Colleagues, with that, motion to recess with 12 in favor, 9 opposed. Speaker not voting, motion carries. That, colleagues, we are officially in recess until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a good evening, everyone. Safe travels.
Oh, no.